What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Wednesday night live stream. Today we have on the one and only Richard from Afishionado channel and Reefs.com. How you doing, Richard?
Good, man. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. So you do something that's really cool on your tank, which you are one of the few people, probably the only, or the very few people I actually see use it, and that's the Methanol Denitrator, which is kind of cool. And it's apparently they've been around for ages, but you just never see them. Now,
Yeah,
I also know that you feed your tank with a shovel. So you put that baby through its paces.
absolutely. For those of you guys who follow my channel or follow, I guess my page, you see that I have, I think about like 9 inches big crosshatch trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that fish alone, I feed 1 pack of LRS large pack a week. And rest of the fish, like I think about half a pack or so. So I think about 1.5 pack plus 3 times or so throughout the day on pellet feeding with TDO, as well as coral food and such. I mean, it's if I'm not careful, my nitrate and phosphate do go through the roof. And
What's the highest they've been on your tank?
oh wow, uh, gosh, that's embarrassing. But I mean, like it like gosh, like it was way over 80 something, and then phosphate like it reached over one, not like point one, like but one. And I was like, my corals don't look too good. Let me test real quick. And I was like, oh, okay, I need to do something about this. So like, heavy water change, like was in effect. I have an algae surf scrubber, as you know, and like I always upsize my skimmer. And even with all that, it was really hard to put a finger, put a finger to keep it down.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that intrigued me was that someone that was local to me in the early 90s
Mm-hmm.
actually had something like a beautiful, stunning SPS dominant aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
And during those times, that was something that's almost unachievable. Only person that was actually able to do it was like someone like Julian Sprung, Joni Vargas, and a couple of other people. And in the early 90s, it was just pioneering or like almost like unheard of stage.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was a mad scientist. And the thing is that you never hear about this because this guy is genius at what he does, but he was horrible marketer.
Fair enough.
Horrible marketer. And then and it is so simple, and it's he made this thing called the denitrifier,
Mm-hmm.
and the popular denitrifier in the market is a surfer one, and they are amazing at what they do. But this guy just went completely different route, created a methanol
Yeah.
denitrifier. And what is very appealing to me on this one is that there's no like negative like drawback from this.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you really overdose the tank, which is highly unlikely, especially if you have any kind of control like Apex or anything like that,
Yep.
that has an extra step of redundancy, something like that will never happen. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and it basically it's like how much it takes a year for me to maintain this unit. Once the unit is made, probably less than I would say about like $5-6 a year.
Which is nothing. Like that's almost free.
Which Yeah, I mean, in this hobby, 5-6 years of supplement to
Mm-hmm.
last a year plus, that's insane, you
That
know?
really is. Now,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
so it uses methanol, which is basically like a pure alcohol, like a racing fuel. And I think actually pull up a little clip of it. So it takes a pure methanol, drips into a
Yeah,
tank, and then you mix it with power heads essentially, and whatever reaction that is in there sucks out all the nitrate. Yeah, there you go. So get VP racing fuel. So that's what you're actually using as
that's
a
it.
methanol source.
Yeah. So regular methanol source, if you were to use that, it's actually it's flammable. It's
Yes.
very flammable. So what this guy named Adolf, he was a local guy to me. He's the one who made this company called Nature Reef that made this denitrifier.
Mm-hmm.
He diluted it.
Mm-hmm.
And at first he did it at half, then he did it at three quarters, and he did it at 1/4. And then we found out from a local our local club's Reef Club's president, which also is a pharmacist
Hmm.
that also knew Adolf,
Yeah.
he reverse engineered it by sending samples to the products and then samples etc. to the lab. He found that it was 50/50 dilution.
Hmm.
So he came up with a solution and then he just bought the methanol, diluted it, and he just went from there. Yeah. So we were able to reverse engineer, and it was everything was so basic and so simple. And it was like it not only controls nitrates, but it also controls phosphate.
Really?
But we
But
that's something that had to be done with much more caution.
okay. So now, does the methanol take care of phosphate, or is there another additive you add in for that?
No, there's another additive that you add to it. For
Okay.
example, how that works is that like just like a sulfur denitrifier,
Hmm.
um, the bacteria that's in the system, it basically you're trying to grow a different strain of nitrifying bacteria that's inside the the reactor itself, right?
Hmm.
And it's something that actually doesn't actually exist in our aquarium.
Okay.
So you have to insert it in there. And the closest that they got on the research was actually when we found in our earwax.
Really? Hmm.
I know it's very intriguing, but that's the type of bacteria that they found with closest strain, and then once that is in there, congregated and I guess repopulated, and just keep on bacteria they grow in such a fast rate,
Hmm.
as soon as they become certain amount where they get the water in, polish the water, and then they flush back into the system.
Yep.
And then so initially you're doing a small water changes throughout the day so that you're polishing every, I don't know, like for me, I have it running at 3 times a day. And that has, I don't like to keep my water at zero at all times because I don't believe that corals need or want, zero nutrient system
Hmm.
unless you're going for that ultra low maintenance system. I mean, like ultra low, nutrient system, which I'm not for.
Yep.
Um, like unless you're going for that, like like that's something that I don't do. But like I usually just put it around 5, and then for
Hmm.
me, I was able to do it by just doing three flushes of maybe like 15 gallons.
Okay.
So that's 45 gallons a day. So I mean that's a pretty decent water change.
Yeah. So you basically use a dosing pump. You pump in, or
Mhm.
you clear out the water. So you empty it out, or you suck in and add at the same time, or how does that work? So you're exchanging water with your tank. You're treating it, and then you're basically exchanging it again, right?
So basically, how it happens is that okay, so the water comes in, and
Hmm.
then it's dosed. The methanol is dosed,
Yeah.
and then the methanol is becomes the food source for these bacteria. Like think about it as a carbon dosing.
Hmm.
When you dose vinegar, vodka, whatever, it's just a carbon dosing. The bacteria feed off of it, polishes the water once the nitrate reaches a zero, and then it flushes.
Okay.
Then you have it set in a timer so that like when you cycle your aquarium, right?
Hmm.
And you have to look at it as a small aquarium itself, the reactor itself, because you have to cycle it. You
Yeah.
have to cycle the bacteria, so you have to know exactly when it's available, when the water is ready for you to flush.
Hmm.
Because when the water is not ready and you still flush it, and then you put the bacteria population at zero,
Mm.
and that won't work for you.
So how do you know it's ready? Like how are you like, all right, it's flush time?
So basically, you start with one flush a day
Okay.
when you start, right?
Hmm.
And when you have to test every single day, and once you reach zero nitrate,
Hmm.
right? Then you're like, okay, this is ready for 2 flushes today.
Okay.
And then you do it that way, and then you continue to do it.
Yeah.
And once your bacteria population is big enough where you could handle that load twice a
Hmm.
day, then you increase it to 3 times a day.
Okay. So you're
And
basically
then
just building up the bacteria colony and feeding it, and that's how you kind of scale it up.
that's
Okay.
it.
Nice.
And once it's 3 times for me, and then once it's going fast enough, and then I reduce the methanol a little
Hmm.
bit. And then once I do that, then it slows down a little bit.
Okay. Hey, random question. What are the purpose of the egg crate baffles inside of it?
Egg crate is where, besides, okay, how I designed my nitrifier is
Hmm.
that there's a good company down in South Florida called American Aquarium. What
Hmm.
he found out from building from Adolf's design was that he uses this PVC style thing,
Hmm.
and egg crate, it holds on, the bacteria holds onto it.
Okay.
So like it kind of congregates in there, and what like maintenance on this is so simple. Once a year, you just take out and you just get the egg crate out, hit it against the toilet, and just or outside or hit it against a
Done.
tree or something. Done,
That's it.
and then put it back in.
Okay.
Maybe just clean the pump.
That's crazy. Okay. So you previously you went, from turf scrubbers and water changes, and you've done tons of other stuff, right? For trying to deal with nitrates. And this by far hands down the biggest thing, right?
Oh yeah, because my nitrate is rock steady at 5.
Yep.
It
Nice.
never goes up, never goes down, never goes down unless I want it to go down.
No, it's a cool system, especially for people. It's like a big tank where a lot of these other systems aren't very practical. I mean, it's dirt cheap. It's like five,
Yeah,
$10 a year to like
yeah.
solution methanol to run it. That's crazy.
Like I was saying, we have a local hobbyist, which is who's a pharmacist.
Mhm.
Me, him, and this other guy, hobbyist in our club, we share it.
Yeah,
And I have 2 years of liquid made ready, and I think it costed me like $10.
that's crazy. So cheap.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it was for me, it was no brainer.
Okay, no,
And
that's super easy.
the fact, yeah, and then the fact that it has the potential to, like you could dabble into reducing your nitrate in
Mhm.
a I mean not nitrate, but phosphate as well. That was a huge upside for me.
Yeah. So are you doing that?
I did start on it for a little bit, but I didn't get a chance to fully enjoy it as much because, as you know, I'm on the process of upgrading.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you
So
are.
oh shoot, and then I was like, I was start to set up such things like so nicely and cycling it so nicely. Then I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to take it down a notch now. So when it's upgraded and when my tank is fully upgraded, then I'll be able to put it back and
Yep.
enjoy it fully
Nice.
that
That'll
way.
be awesome. Quick shout out, Claudius Reefer Taylor. Thank you for the 499 super chat earlier. Appreciate that. Okay, now with yours. So I've heard of sulfur denitrators before, but never
Hmm.
methanol. So your system is the very first time I've ever seen this. So I don't. Is it just like an old design that's come back, or is it just not very well known about?
It is an old design that a lot of people don't know about because, like I was mentioning
Mm-hmm.
before, the guy Adolf,
Mm-hmm.
who is the founder of the Nature Reef, he was a terrible marketer. And for those of us that's in South Florida, we know of it and
Yeah.
we use it. And there are some Adolf's old customers that
Mm-hmm.
were from, uh, I guess, from his, like from the customers from his old company, Nature Reef.
Yeah.
They know of it, but I mean, it wasn't very widely known. And
Mm-hmm.
then when he shut down his business, that kind of just all went with it.
Okay. No, that's fair. I guess the only one con is it takes a bit of space for that thing. It looks like it's a good chunk of space.
You can make it as big as you want or small as you want,
Mm-hmm.
but like if it's small, then you have to flush it more often.
Okay, that's fair. So I guess it
Yeah.
wouldn't be that hard to DIY one of these. Looking at it,
Oh, it is stupid simple. Like, I mean, it is so simple.
yeah. RB,
Yeah.
thank you for the £3 super chat. Okay, appreciate that. Okay, so if someone wanted to build one of these contraptions, you
Hmm.
have a pump for water in and out. You have a dosing
Hmm.
pump to dose methanol to it, and you have some little baffles inside. Is there anything else to it?
I guess the only thing you need is I guess a power. Original design of this actually is it came from a sprinkler timer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it creates like that, and in a
Hmm.
plastic or glass container with a maxi jet as a water movement.
Huh.
I mean, essentially you can make this under 40, $50.
Super
Easy.
cheap.
Oh yeah. I mean, tell me another thing that in this hobby that costs that little.
You can like nothing,
Yeah.
and it's so
You could
effective.
essentially make Yeah, you could essentially make this from 10 gallon, $10
Yep.
Petco aquarium and then just put a lid on it and call it a day.
Wouldn't be as
Put
pretty,
some
but would get her done.
baffles. Oh yeah. I mean,
Huh.
but it's gonna sit under the sump, underneath the sump, and
Yep.
like who's gonna see it?
Hmm.
You know?
That's crazy, huh? You've really piqued my
Yeah.
interest on this.
Well,
Like once,
if you need any help, I got you.
yeah, once my shovel gets a bit bigger and I catch up to your feeding level.
Uh, well, for it's not just for feeders like me,
Hmm.
but also people that's looking to reduce the amount of water changes.
True. Very good point.
So, yeah.
Okay, so now that you have this crazy ultra nutrient removal system, how often do you actually do your water changes? You still do them very frequently, or not so much?
I I do, only just because, not as much, not as much. I used to do like in order for me to keep these things, the nitrates and phosphates and things down, I would do maybe about 100-gallon water changes every 2, maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's a good chunk.
100 gallons. That's a big chunk
And
for a 210-gallon tank,
so that's a 50%
And
water change every three
yeah,
weeks.
yeah, 2, maybe 3 weeks. Like more mainly about 2 weeks. But if I get lazy, then three. But I mean, but still, it's too much.
Hmm.
But now I do maybe like 40 gallons, if that, every other week, or I could go maybe once a month.
Okay, so
Put
you've
that in
cut
here.
it in about a quarter. That's crazy.
Yeah.
No.
And it also gave my turf scrubber like chance to really catch up,
Hmm.
and it's producing so much more algae now. It's pretty ridiculous.
Huh? Just because it doesn't have to work as hard, I guess. That's interesting.
I'm not sure, but pretty much. I mean, like I noticed that more growth from it,
Hmm.
and it's just I don't know. I guess there was more stuff in the water. Um, Maybe I don't know. Maybe the methanol kind of like I don't know. But I mean, it's something just
Huh.
seeded it, and it just grew a little more.
Nope. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, is it safe to assume all this is moving on to the new tank that's in the works?
Yeah.
So, are you gonna spill it? The new tank? What you doing?
Well, okay, you're the first, I guess, channel that I'm telling about this. um, Originally, I was about to unveil this for Reefapalooza Orlando of this year,
Hmm.
and as you know, unfortunately, the show got canceled because of the pandemic. Um, I am actually building a new aquarium with Elos America, and this is a diamond line tank. This is the largest tank that they offer as their regular retail uh, aquarium. It's
Nice.
going to be about 250 gallons,
Yeah.
and all the bells and whistles from Elos built in.
Ooh, nice. They make nice stuff. So.
They really do. They really do. And then like it's for me, like I just look at it as like glass is glass. And
Hmm.
like it's what's different. But I mean, like when you look at it and just how was when I was talking to them and etc. It just like for those of you guys that doesn't know what I do for a daytime job, I mean, I would love to do fish stuff all day long, but it doesn't pay for all the bills. So my daytime job is I'm a jeweler,
Hmm.
and they use a sapphire crystal for these glass, and
Hmm.
then it's what they use for like stuff like Rolex or Breitling watches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's scratch resistant and it's super clear. I
Hmm.
mean, and I'm like, wow, they're using this for a glass. I'm like, okay. It's
Nice.
like I haven't seen anybody, that uses this before.
Did you say it's also scratch resistant?
Yes, scratch
So it's
resistant.
clearer than Starfire and scratch resistant?
Yes.
Jealous. That sounds awesome. Very
Yeah,
cool.
so I was like, and then like so, and then like they had to custom ship my glass from
Hmm.
Italy, and then I was just looking at it, and like like owner of Alos America, which is a French watch, he was sending me pictures and progress and everything of how it's being built, and I'm like, oh man, I'm super excited to get it started.
Hmm. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah, and then and I have amazing group of friends throughout the industry, and then like once they get the width of what I was doing, and they're like, okay, let's do this, and they're coming out with a whole bunch of different ways to improve the filtration system and etc. And
nice.
I was like, when do I take out my tank?
That's awesome. Okay, a couple people are asking, Odali, is it a peninsula tank? So is it standard or peninsula?
um, that's a really good question.
You don't know? See when it shows up?
No, actually, I don't know, man. And to be honest, I would prefer to be Peninsula, and I know that they can make it Peninsula because they have the option in the stand.
Hmm.
Um, I guess I'll have to ask.
See what you get.
Yeah, because like I was so excited about this thing, and actually that's a very important question because I like to make my tank Peninsula because when I move, I like like you did. We talked about this when you're making your Peninsula.
Hmm.
Like I like a Peninsula just in case when I move, and then I can could be a room divider and etc. And you have more space to put different type of corals on both ends.
Exactly.
So
It's like two tanks in one. That's really the best way to
yeah,
describe it, at least for me.
that's it. Yep, and that's what I want to do, and so we'll see how that goes.
If you have the
As
option, 100% go for it.
for sure, yeah.
All right. Okay. So Elos tanks don't have emergency drain. Is that concerning?
Hmm?
I'm sure they have emergency drain.
I think so. I mean, honestly, I haven't really looked into their, I guess, strains yet because I haven't I haven't gotten one yet. But I mean, if anything is all anything, if I didn't like it, then I would change it all anyways. So
You can always add a new drain, but they'll have at least 2 drains. Like that's like the standard. I don't think there's many
yeah,
companies that don't have. No one has 1 drain anymore, so you're pretty
right,
safe on
right.
that bet. That's gonna be sweet though. Okay, so question. Now, if someone has crazy high nitrates, they want to build one of these, right? We got a 10-gallon tank, and you have water in, water out. Oh, lost Richard.
Oh, what happened there?
I don't know. I lost you. Welcome back.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So if we have a 10-gallon tank, someone wants to make one of these, right?
Mhm.
Is it a dosing pump to take water in and out, or do you have a bigger pump? Like, is it a slow process, a quick process?
No, you don't use a dosing pump to take water out. You would need a pump to drain the water out to flush.
Okay, so it looks like you have decent sized piping going in and out of
Yeah, I use 3/4,
there. Mm-hmm.
and then I used Ecotex. Is super overpowered, and like I lowered it down all the way to the smallest increment, and then I used the ball valve just to reduce it even
Yeah.
further,
Okay.
and then
Nice.
I used the S1 pump from
Yep.
Ecotech,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had a spare MP40, and MPs. I know these are costly, all the materials that are costly that I just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, these initial ones, the original ones, they just use two maxi jets,
Yep. Okay.
MaxiJet 1200 and MaxiJet 400. So you could use those if need be. But I mean, if you have and if you want to use, better products, you could. The product that was recommended to me to use was MP40,
Mm-hmm.
so that anything with bacteria. I don't know if you smell bacteria. It's not the most pleasant smelling,
Yeah.
and so I would like to leave the wires, like outside the tank, so where it doesn't, like keep the lid slide open so you can kind of like let the fumes out. I don't, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do that.
So it's
So
fully
MP made,
contained, no wire
yeah,
holes, nothing to worry about. Okay, that makes sense.
that really made sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Now, just on a maintenance side, do you
Mhm.
ever really have to clean the pumps, or everything's contained? There's no light, like algae and stuff's not really even an issue in there.
Not really. Just once a year, I just take out the
The crate.
MP's the wet side
Oh yeah.
and wet side, and I just kind of like rinse it with water,
Okay.
and then egg crate, I just take it out to the tree or the toilet and just gonna hit a
Smack it.
couple times on. Yep, and just get some of that the gunk out, and that's it.
That's it. Perfect.
Yep.
Crazy.
Mhm.
Oh, that's awesome. So easy. I love it. Now, would okay, have you ever used a sulfur denitrator? Because that's the other one I've seen. Where you buy little yellow pellety things that go in it and it's supposed to feed water through it.
Right. I know of it, but I haven't really used it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I've never used it either, so just curious.
Yeah.
You went straight for the big
I
guns.
was I was going from, like I was trying to use this and this, and then like which one would be the best thing application for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to the couple of people in the industry, and they're like, if you don't need it, don't use it.
Yeah.
And then at the local reef club meetings, like I know a couple of people that was using it locally. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, do you mind if I check it out, or can you, do you mind if you tell me about it? And then one of my friend who's also in the industry in our reef aquarium club, Roger of Rogers Reef Food, is like, yeah, but you live like 5 minutes away from me. Just come swing by, and then you could take a look and see how I did it. And I was like, okay, whoa, this is simple.
Nice.
Let me do it.
That's awesome. It's just yeah, it's crazy how simple it is and how effective it is for what it is. Like, I don't know, very
Yeah,
cool. So
yeah.
easy enough to make one. I might
Oh,
one day.
very easy.
If I
Oh, it's very, very easy.
yeah, crazy. Now, okay, so what's the advantage of a big one versus a small one? Just less cycle times of water changes, basically.
Well, yeah, that too, and then like ability to affect nitrates in a higher method. Like if you do let's say you have how big is your tank? 200.
Yeah.
If you have a 200-gallon tank, 10 gallons of water change is not going to do much.
Hmm. That's fair.
But if you have a 20-gallon, 30-gallon, it affects more. So bigger the thing, higher it could affect
Hmm.
yeah, at once. and less times you'll have to flush.
Okay. Now, there's no negative, like there's no other funkiness in the water, like the bacteria eats all the excess stuff and you're good to go afterwards?
No. Yeah, your skim mate becomes extremely thick after that, and then if the excess bacteria gets skimmed out, and you'll just get like super thick black
Yeah.
skim mates.
Huh, that's so cool. I don't know, it's just such a cool idea, especially for like really big tanks versus not economical to do big water changes.
Yeah, it's basically like Red Sea's no pox, right?
Yep.
It's a very similar concept, but
Hmm.
you do everything inside the reactor, so there is no chance of bacterial blooming happening outside of the aquarium.
Yeah. Huh, that's very cool. But like, what if bacteria bloomed inside the reactor and your water changed out? Like, is that just not an issue or
No, not an
no?
issue.
All right, I'm just checking.
Yeah.
All right. Bill's asking, what kind of glass was that called from Elos?
They call it diamond line. I think that was, like I could be wrong,
Hmm.
because Francois is French,
Yep.
and like his English is a little bit limited, and my English is a little bit limited.
Your English
So
is fine.
yeah, I mean it could be. I mean, for all we know, I mean it could be different, like low iron, or Starfire or whatever, But I
Hmm.
mean, from the impression that I have gotten,
Hmm.
they use what was it? Jeez. Now I'm just gonna like kind of losing it.
That's okay.
Not a Starfire, but what was it? What was the glass that they use for
Watches and stuff.
watches?
Okay.
Right, right. Now it's
Sapphire.
just escaping my tongue. Is that Starfire? Did I say that
No,
Starfire?
sapphire, I think. Isn't it for watches?
Sapphire
Yeah.
crystal. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I think that he mentioned it was a sapphire crystal.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Okay. Okay. Back to the question on this. What's the methanol to RO ratio? Was it 50-50?
50-50.
50-50? Okay. And then Chris was asking, how do you figure out how many millimeters of methanol to dose?
You start out dosing, like small amount, like 4 ml or something like that, 5 ml, and then you see how fast it consumes.
Hmm.
Um, Generally, like you're trying to like create like a cycle in your aquarium. Like and some people dose ammonia, right?
Hmm.
And like you could dose a couple mLs and stuff like that. But if you want it fast, you could dose a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Um, I think I started from like 8 ml
Hmm.
and then just kind of wean down a little bit and then kind of like see how fast that started the cycle.
Okay. Huh.
And
Interesting.
then
And that's,
it took me more than once a day at
yeah.
first because bacteria it wasn't populating fast enough.
Hmm.
So I think the first flush maybe was like 2 days or something like that, and so that water 2 maybe 3 days, so that water doesn't get stagnant. MP40 is constantly running.
Yeah. Okay.
So like like water's always being turbid inside and such. So it wasn't going to spoil. It was getting spoiled or anything.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean after that like becomes zero, then you just flush, do it again, and then see how fast it goes down to zero at this time,
Hmm.
and then you go from there.
Oh, that was very cool. Variant. Is it you use methanol to reduce nitrate? Should you not use UV since UV might kill the bacteria? These are kind of separate because this is happening in its own kind of box or chamber. It's kind of separate from your tank. It's kind of like thinking of taking, say 10, 20 gallons of water, putting it in its own chamber. You dose all the stuff, you let the bacteria consume all the nitrates and potentially phosphates, depending on what you're doing. And then you do a water change back with your tank. So you're basically doing a water change back and forth between this reactor and your tank. And the reactor's cleaning the water of all the bad stuff, essentially.
Yeah. And if they want to find out a little bit more of the denitrifier and designs and such
Hmm.
like that, there is a good company that I personally used
Okay.
in South Florida.
Yep.
If you go to their Instagram, their handle is called American Aquarium,
Okay. I think I saw
and
that
it's
one of yours. There you go. AmericanAquarium.com dash aquarium.
yeah,
Okay.
right. And the owner's name is Chris, and he'll be more than happy to assist you with any kind of designs and stuff like that. Or there you go. Yeah,
Hmm.
any kind of designs and stuff like that. Like this design, that one that I made was first of its kind, which is all in one design.
Hmm.
It has the methanol container inside, and then now I made one for another friend where it has all the dosing stuff built
Okay.
into it as well for the phosphate and such.
Nice.
Yeah,
Do you have to seed the bacteria with bacteria? Or will it do it on its own?
you have to seed it. You have
Okay.
to seed it because this bacteria is not normally found in aquarium.
Hmm.
There is a product that you could purchase that is just like this,
Okay. And
the bacteria wise.
what is the bacteria, or like what is it, or what's it called, or
I will have to give you a link to it. I'll have to
okay.
get to you link to it.
Okay.
I did a research on it maybe about a year and a half ago, and I found one manufacturer that created a bacteria that was like a it's like a shelf bacteria actually. It wasn't something
Hmm.
fancy or anything like that. It was like I believe it was like less than $10.
Yeah.
So that kind of worked out for a budget.
I was laughing very in the chat. Earwax bacteria.
That's it. Earwax. Put it
Yeah, pretty
in.
much might work. You never know.
Yeah.
Harkins Aquatics. How do you make sure your ATO doesn't go crazy when you're doing these water changes with itself?
Well, I have programmed my Apex
Okay.
to turn off my Apex. I mean ATO when it goes,
Hmm.
or I mean like or you could put in even the same timer.
Yeah.
Like if you decide to have a small old timer,
Hmm.
and then you could just use that to like turn this thing off when this is going off.
Yeah.
So I did that with my both skimmer and my return pump. I mean
Hmm.
my ATO, and then everything just works.
Nice. Or you could just do what I use water changes, just suck it out and add it at the same time and let it. Probably would work too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Either way, you good. I like it, man. That's cool. I don't know. It's just different technology that I've never heard of before you. So I think it's
Yeah, I
pretty
mean
sweet.
it's a lost piece of tech in our reefing industry that unfortunately is not popular as it should be. I mean, that was definitely ahead of his time. I
Mhm.
mean, like I was said, like he was one of the pioneers of SPS tank in the early 90s. I
Yeah.
mean, big aquarium was full of SPS. I mean, so that was something SPS was something that was there as a decorative thing but not a long-term thing. But he made that water so pristine, like
Yeah.
SPS was thriving. It was insane. He was growing stuff with PC compact light bulbs,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is amazing.
That is. It's
and
crazy.
yeah, I mean, it's something that people weren't able to do, and just him being able to trailblaze through that,
Hmm.
and just making people know that it was actually the water. If you can't keep water, then you could keep corals.
It's true.
Yeah. So him able to being able to do it and show it off as firsthand, that was
Yeah.
an eye opener.
Oh, huge. I don't know. I think it's super cool. And it's cheap. Like, I mean,
Oh,
once you build it,
13.
but
Yeah.
it's like
I mean, but
five, ten
even if when
dollars a
you're
year and methanol. Like, it's
yeah,
nothing. Free.
yeah, and even when you're building, the building process is only expensive as you want it to make it.
Everything, yeah.
Right. No, no,
Hmm.
no. Like let's say for example, you just want to make a basic one, and you could just order a 10-gallon or 15-gallon, like even 20-gallon, like a tank
Hmm.
from a Petco,
Yeah,
$20 right there,
easy.
and a couple of baffles and stuff like that. If you know how to drill, great. If you don't know how to drill, then find somebody that's if you have a friend, perfect. And PVC is dirt cheap. Go to Home
Yep.
Depot, and you have a MaxiJet, I don't know, 1200. That's like what, $25.
Yep.
You know,
Cheap.
yeah, and then Maxi for 400 for additional wave inside the denitrifier,
Hmm.
another $15.
So
Voila,
you
that's
need
the
a
system right
dosing
there.
pump to add it, and then
Oh, this
some
pump,
way of
that's it.
exchanging with your tank. So you could technically do it with like a four-head dosing pump, like one in, one out. That could be all you could use. Or if you get a bit
No, no,
faster, use a bigger pump.
the water, right? Like that's what I was mentioning too. Maxi Jets,
Hmm.
1 1200 to put the water out and
Ah,
flush.
okay.
Flush.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
right. And then like I have it sitting where it's like when it's a little bit below the level, so it's kind of gravity feeds back into it when the pump shuts off.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yes, I mean it's made easy. And it's only expensive as you make it. Like I was mentioning earlier. I mean, if you don't have a big system and you don't want to, like let's say you have a system that your whole system costs maybe like $500. There's no reason for you to spend another $500 for denitrifier.
Yeah, no kidding.
You could just make it simple and easy and just deal with the nitrates that way.
Oh, that's awesome. Chris is asking, will you incorporate an automatic nitrate tester when they become popular to control the flushing?
Oh wow, that's well, I mean, it's something that uh, I don't like to. I guess what's the term that they use?
Control
Active
off the
dosing.
automation testing?
Like I think they do a active dosing, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't like to active
Hmm.
anything. Like when it first comes out, I like to things to be 100% stable. Like even though I like to mess with the new toys as soon as they come out, I don't use it to like like for example, I have auto testers in my aquarium, but I don't use it to dose my alkalinity. I don't use it to dose my calcium. Like
Mhm.
I do it. I still do that by hand. I'm an old-fashioned person.
Wait.
Like
You dose by hand or with the doser?
with the doser.
Okay.
But
I'm like, you have all this
I
fancy
don't.
tech, and you're like,
Yeah. No. I
okay.
don't. I don't. I don't I don't let it auto dose for me.
Okay.
Basically, like like oh the Trident is reading alkalinity at 7.5. Let's let it boost up to 8.5, which is totally can do, and a
Mhm.
lot of people do it with success. I'm not knocking that.
Yeah,
But I just like the I guess
I understand.
like a sense of security for me. I don't know. I'm weird.
Yeah, it was like a year before I decided to finally let my Alcatronic put the waste back into the tank. Like a year of other people doing it and making sure it was all good. And then same thing with like the auto dosing. After like a year, I'm like, all right, okay, fine, I'll try it. But I gave it a good
Yeah.
while to make sure everyone else had lots of success. And once everyone else was, I was like, okay, fine.
So Alcatronics, they used I believe their reagent was what was it what they used? I think it's some kind of acid, right?
Yeah, it is.
What was it again?
It's
What
some
kind of
kind of,
acid was it?
I don't remember, but it's some kind of an acid.
Yeah, I remember like like I think the only downside to that if you use that to max is that it lowers the pH,
Yeah,
right?
it's super. I only test twice a day, so it's like zero impact. But yeah, there's a minuscule little impact on it.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
No, because I was wondering because a lot of wholesalers they use
Hmm.
that same kind of acid, and whenever the fish comes in from a shipment, they'll purposely put that acid into the water to
Hmm.
match the pH level to the
Interesting.
lower side. So when they come in, they'll match the pH, and then it will increase the pH gradually as the fish acclimates into the new fresh water.
I was wondering how you'd lower the pH, but I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
Huh. That's a good way to do it. Nice.
yeah, because I mean, pH when it jumps too high, it's you'll notice significant fish death.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Actually, this is just for my own knowledge. When you're acclimating a fish, is it they
Mhm.
can go to higher salinity easier or lower salinity? One way is easy on the other way is really hard on them.
Lower salinity is always easy. High salinity, no. The maximum that people recommend is 0.02
Per day, hour,
day.
per day?
Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can go from high to low, but you can't go from low to high. Is that correct?
You could drop as fast as you want.
Okay. You just can't go up high. Okay.
Like yeah. Like for example, when I do hypersalinity, like
Mhm.
long as the temperature and pH and everything is matching, I just put it down, like from regular condition to hypo and like just instantly
Yeah.
without any issues.
Okay.
But when you're bringing it up, yet I bring it up zero point zero 0.02. If I'm in an extreme hurry, then I put 0.03 and then gradually just raise it up
Hmm.
every day.
No, it's good tips. I couldn't remember which way it was. I knew one of the ways was okay and one wasn't. So good refresher. So any other cool projects or things in the work for you?
So far I'm just trying to get the tank in.
Yeah. Soon.
And I'm going through your old videos and stuff like that and see what you did and or like how you like incorporated a lot of different methods
Hmm.
from various techs in the industry. And like it's we learn if you stop learning from one another and if you just stop learning in general, I mean, like it's you become stagnant.
Yeah.
So I'm checking out, like guys like you, like Michael Aaron from Michael's Aquarium,
Hmm.
and like several other people that I respect, like Terrence at Neptune or Jay at Ecotech.
Yep.
I just look at their bills and see what they're doing, and just I'm taking notes
You
and
get
trying to
you can
yeah,
get
and
cool
then see
ideas
what I
too, like stuff you
oh
haven't
yeah
thought
for
of,
sure
like
yeah
methanol denitrators. Yeah.
yep yep. So I'm taking notes,
Hmm.
and I'm definitely still in planning period. I think Chris, the American Aquarium, is actually in here with you. He's watching the
Nice.
video. He's just sending me right now the information. So if you have any questions, if you post there, he'll answer it for you. Okay.
Perfect. Got the expert here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then he could base like I just saw Robert's comment real quick
Hmm.
from BRS.
Yep.
Yeah, you can make this. He can make any size you want for nano tanks or whatever. You can make practically you can make it to any size.
That's awesome. Do it, Robert. The water
Yep.
changes. Could be a new experiment.
Yep. Does he have a tank yet? Is it
Um,
out?
It was starting. I know he's collecting gear. I don't know if he's actually got it wet or anything with it yet.
This guy, he's too busy fishing. He needs to get his tank wet already.
I know. Okay, so new Elos build. Are you doing some videos on it? Are you gonna update us as you go?
To be honest, I haven't really done any really updates on my old tanks.
Yeah, clean
Um,
slate right here.
yeah, but like I have been getting a lot of requests from friends that I should do it.
hmm
So I'm strongly considering it.
I'm just throwing this
I'm
out
strongly
there, but
considering
you do content for two different channels. So one
it.
of
Mhm.
them you should grace with this amazing new tank that you're building.
Well, like it's like I no, you see, thing is that two channels. Well, like it's hard to maintain two channels. I mean,
It
so I was
is.
like, I've given up my personal channel to work with Reefs.com because
hmm
I believe in the purpose of education.
Yep.
And I believe that it holds much truer. It holds closer to my values of what I want to do and achieve. So
hmm
I kind of gave up my own channel to pursue the growth of educational channel. But like I don't know if I want to put my personal tanks on that personal aquarium on that educational
K-Fi.
channel. But like my motto is also to inspire as well as to educate and motivate.
hmm
So I don't know. I'm hoping that if I could find it as some kind of an educational thing or way to inspire or make it easier for one to achieve success or different way to
hmm
achieve success, then may do it. But I just
Okay.
have to think of it in a different angle.
If you don't, I'm gonna have to come and visit and just film it myself and then make a video on it.
Well, that would be a good excuse for you to come by.
I think so too. It'd be great.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Drama, what happened to those crazy clams you did a video collaboration on with Reefs.com?
I still haven't.
There you go.
Yeah,
Waiting for
yeah.
their
No, no.
fancy new home.
Yeah. Well, I have a maxima clam. I have a hippopus clam. Uh, I have a Red Sea clam. Man, oh my gosh, I don't want to put a spoiler yet, but there is so much new things going on with clams right now. Like the technology is advancing so much right now, and we're finding stuff, like we're supposed to be at described at this clam,
Yeah.
and it may be a whole new species in general, in period.
Now, is it actually new species come out or they're reclassifying them or how does that work?
They're reclassifying them,
Okay. So,
and I got a few of them,
yeah.
and it looks completely different.
So you have something completely different. My aquarium show, thank you for the 499 super chat and welcome back to the wonderful world of reefing.
There you
Um,
go.
okay, so they're reclassifying them. So you're like, I have two clams, two species. Now you're like, oh, I have four species.
There you go. No, I mean, like, I think I have like, at one point I had about 13 different clams in my
Is
in
that
my
many?
aquarium. Yeah, yeah.
Z.
Like you see, thing is that I'm a you see, like when you do a top down and stuff like that, like I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like when you
Oh,
see a clam just buried inside between SPS, I don't know if you have the book from Julian Sprung, the coral book that he did. First edition, you could see, actually, is it the third edition? You could see the big like the maxima clam right in between
mm-hmm.
SPS, Acroporus, and I was like, like when you go diving, that's what you see. Like
Yeah.
you don't just see corals, like you see clams here and there, and just buried in between the rocks and stuff, or in between the sand. I was like, oh man, I was like, it really brings it together.
Yeah.
And
It's
I really
beautiful.
like the fact that they're such a good filter feeders and they clean up so well. They polish the water very well,
Mm-hmm.
despite the fact that they eat so much calcium and alkalinity. But I mean, they do
But they
polish
clean your
very
water
well.
for you.
They do. They serve a purpose, and they're so beautiful to look at. And I think they tie the system well together. So I get them as much as I can. And gosh, I mean, right now, like I gave away quite a bit because I am taking down my tank,
Mm-hmm.
and my parents and some of my close friends benefited from that.
Nice.
And right now, I think I have about four, maybe five left in my big tank, and then I moved two of them to my small nano tank right now.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Okay, couple clam questions since we sidebarred onto this.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, Odell? I don't. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. How hard are clams? You go first.
It really depends on,
Mhm.
like it's just like corals. I would like to think, like softies are the easiest, and then you gradually get to SPS.
Mhm.
The easiest clam is for me is Teresa clams.
Yeah.
And like Teresa's are the most easiest, and then once it goes up from there, then you go all the way to like Croziers or Maximas, and they're a little bit more hardy, and
Mhm.
harder to keep clams. For those, if you want success, don't get the baby ones. Get at least 2, maybe 3 inch clams where you don't have to feed phyto,
Yeah.
like as often or whatever, like they'll live off zooxanthellae. That's in their tissues.
Yes.
They'll filter feed and live.
So if a
So
clam
that's
is less than 3 inches, you really need to feed it quite a bit. Or if it's over 3 inches, in general, it's more photosynthetic and it can be okay with just filtering stuff. That's why they're a lot harder when they're tiny.
Yeah. And then Teresa's are much more forgiving than, some of the other ones that I just mentioned.
How about squamosa? That's what I have. I have just one massive clam.
Your squamosa is actually one of a kind.
It's
Yeah,
pretty, isn't
it's
it?
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I actually been looking for that kind of one.
Yeah.
Only one that I'm actively looking
Hmm.
is one that my friend collected from Cook Island. He's a resident over there, and I found one at low tide,
Yeah.
and then it was an electric blue
Ooh,
Teresa clam.
nice.
It's Teresa. Like Teresa, that's electric blue. I mean, you only see like golden color and stuff like that. I was like, blue? I was like, what? So I've been looking for it ever since. I haven't found it yet.
Ah, nice.
Um, yeah, and then your type of I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I
mine's purple with like a tealy blue kind of all the highlights all over, which is cool. And it's like a
which is
football, like it's
very awesome.
massive. Like that baby's a good water
Oh yeah,
filter.
oh yeah, definitely,
Hmm.
definitely. It does really, really well. And then one other tip that I was told that baby clams or any kind of small clams in general, don't put them on a sand,
Hmm.
but try to put them on a rock
Good to
because
know.
when they're small, their weakest point is their valve in the bottom,
Yep.
where how they hold on to their foot area, and
Hmm.
then like crabs or worms or any kind of things, predators, they'll go in through that hole and then they'll eat it
I
from
lost my
inside out.
first clam that way. Something in the sand bed. It was
Yeah.
sad.
Yep. So I didn't know at the first, but like you talk to various experts or gurus in the industry, and you pick up, like these helpful tips and knowledge. And I
Hmm.
was able to, like pick this up from one of the pioneers of coral
Hmm.
fragment farmer, Anthony Calfo, and he told me this. It's like, man, I had this clam for a while, and it was doing good, and and it just perished one day out of no reason. And it's
Hmm.
like, like this could be the reason. This could be the reason. And I
Huh.
was like, oh man, yeah.
Dang.
You're making a checklist for me that all the things that I did wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Do you feed your clams or your tanks anything aside from Phyto for clams? Do you feed them anything else specifically or?
Like I said, they're filter feeders, but I do feed phytos for pods and stuff like that. Like I think that biodiversity is so important, so I just feed many different stuff, many different
Mhm.
products in my system. But specifically for clams and stuff like that, no, not really. They will eat whatever that's in the water.
Okay. Yeah. I'm the whole varieties of spice of life method too. Just tons of different foods, tons of different things in the tank, and good to mix up that nutrition for everything really.
Yep.
No, very cool. Total clam thing. Other question that was in there, so I'm gonna go. Any recommended places for someone looking for a clam, like where to get one, where to pick one up?
Well, like for me, I like to, like support my good friends that's doing a lot of different aquaculture.
Hmm.
Because a lot of different clams or giant clams in the wild are being endangered. Like Gigas clam is endangered.
Hmm.
But ORA recently was successful of spawning those things, and they brought it back into market. I covered that maybe about a year ago or so. Um, like ORA's facility is so amazing, by the way,
Yeah.
and they're all guarded. You can't even go in. So
Really?
yeah, they're guarded with gates and with the armed guards and everything else. Like it's pretty crazy. They share the facility with the research facility, so it's very heavy security.
Huh.
And then like how they have over there is it's amazing. And then they just have rows and rows and rows of clams. It's just wow.
That's crazy.
But
I think it was
yeah,
you. I did watch some videos on it. It might have been from your, if you snuck it through
yeah,
the security one day and filmed a video, but um,
yeah. No, I think I was the only person besides Mark Levinson that was
mhm,
invited to
nice.
our facility to film. But yeah, that facility is just crazy.
Ah,
So I mean, I would, if I'm looking for a good place to buy clam, trying to find that's ORA clams or biota clam.
okay.
Biota and ORA is one of the pioneers in, like captive breeding and aquaculture and such, and they bring amazing, healthy specimens into the market.
Yeah, very cool. Ah, love it. Love clams. Clams are awesome. If you guys don't have one, they're beautiful. They filter your water. I've
Yep.
often thought it'd be cool to have like a clam refugium and just like clean out your tank and it'd be beautiful. It could be like a little show clam tank piped in or something. Be cool.
Oh man, it is so amazing. Like if you were looking to do something like that, you kind of get a Hippopus clam.
Hmm.
Hippopus are super sturdy, but they're not the prettiest clams. They're in all fairness, they're kind of, they look a little dull, the color and stuff like that. But the ability to suck out and polish water is second to none.
Yeah.
Uh, they said that they even use, some person that used to work at Biota said that it even cleared up some of his dinoflagellates.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, I was like, how true is that? I don't, like,
Who knows?
how
But
true and
cool
effectiveness
anyway.
of that. But I was like, huh, okay. It's something that we should definitely look into and test
Mhm.
if, a lot of scientists can get their hands on it and, do it. But we'll see how that goes.
Be awesome. All right, Kay, one
Yeah.
more question. My aquarium show sand or no sand in a coral only tank. Personally, in a frag tank, no sand. In a display, sand, but I just like the look of sand.
Yeah. I think it's more of a personal
It's
preference than
personal
anything.
preference. 100% is.
Yeah. Like right now, like my guy who, like, when people come over and they're like, look at, they're like, your sand serves really no purpose, just having a 1 inch
It can't look
or like
sand.
little less than an inch. But I was
Hmm.
like, but I like it. I
It,
like it like that. So it's my tank. I'll do whatever I want.
exactly. It's 100% personal preference. No sand, you can crank more flow. With sand, if your tank is deep enough, just put your power heads higher up and still crank the flow. So all personal preference. All right, guys. So I'm not going to keep you too late, Richard, but I appreciate you coming on as always. Um,
Uh,
with the lost mythical art of methanol denitrators. So it's pretty cool. Super easy DIY. Quick shout out Claudius Reef Taylor, RB, Odell Volmar, and My Aquarium Show. Thank you guys for the super chats. I appreciate it. And if you want to see more of Richard's wonderful work, mainly do your content for reefs.com. And you also have a Afishionado channel on YouTube and Instagram.
YouTube, I haven't really updated in a few years, but you could
Yep.
follow the things like you mentioned at Instagram at Afishionado channel
Mm-hmm.
or Richard at Afishionado on Facebook.
Beauty. Awesome. All right, guys. Appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed it, as always, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you check out Richard, and we will catch you guys on next week's live stream. Happy Wednesday.